Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Wendy Chen. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in today's show, US city volunteers continue to help Hurricane Sandy survivors with a relief distribution in Ocean Township. In our feature report on land subsidence in Taiwan, we find out what the government is doing to help farmers changing their farming methods. And we meet a martial arts master Ling Changxiang, who is doing what he can to ensure this traditional art shines on. In the United States, the New Jersey Tzu Chi chapter carried out its 8th aid distribution at a local school to help 227 households in Ocean Township and Barnett Gates Township.
Here at Weretown Elementary School, Tzu Chi volunteers get to work setting up the distribution venue. Many students have returned home for the Thanksgiving holidays and have chosen to spend time with their parents as volunteers.
As many are off for the Thanksgiving holidays, many from out of town joined the aid distribution. Yesterday, 3 groups of volunteers arrived in New Jersey. Before the aid distribution, everyone prays, and the wife of Ocean Township's mayor also shares in the sadness. Meanwhile, the recipients wait outside the venue. Bathing in the song, God Bless America, the residents look sorrowful, but the mayor, who wears a Tzu Chi vest, does his best to encourage the recipients.
One thing I have to tell you, I walked in here this morning and I saw almost 100 people here, volunteers, people that you see now standing on the sides on the aisles, ready to help us in the problems we've gone through with Hurricane Sandy.
Among the volunteers, 22 traveled from Washington, D.C., and 1 came all the way from Zhejiang, China.
I feel quite emotional as this is my first time coming to such an occasion. I see the volunteers passionately helping the disaster victims. Although I have not been through what they have, I can feel what they are going through. I really see now that Tzu Chi is one big family.
I brought all my family members here, my wife, my 2 daughters, and my son-in-law.
An 8-year-old volunteer is hugging the survivors, doing her part to cheer people up.
I had to cry today when you played God Bless America, and I was very overwhelmed by all of the generosity from everyone in this room. It's amazing. The hugs, thank you so much. We needed it. We're more than just a FEMA number.
This is a fantastic organization, and I don't know what our town would have done had you not come here. The amount of participation by the volunteers is just unbelievable. If I went out and told people on the street what you have done for us today, they would not believe it. And I just don't know how to thank you enough.
It has been an experience, and you have to be here today to see what's going on and to feel what these people are feeling. I must have cried 10 times, 20 times today. I look terrible.
The Red Cross also prepares some hot meals for the disaster victims, and everyone returns home with hands full of aid supplies.
At the Tzu Chi US headquarters in St. Dimas, volunteers made phone calls to disaster victims on the East Coast to show their support. During their conversation, the volunteers learned how some of the residents felt abandoned by the government as they were ineligible to apply for subsidies. However, there were inspirational stories as well, in which survivors devoted their time to help Tzu Chi volunteers distribute hot meals.
Through phone calls, Tzu Chi volunteers on the west coast of the U.S. were able to care for the survivors on the east coast.
Dozens of phone calls came in within a minute, so we set up a lot of voicemail boxes. Today is Thanksgiving, and the volunteers are taking the opportunity to help.
Hearing the victims' complaints, the volunteers can better understand their pain.
There's a girl whose grandmother passed away last year. Unfortunately, the photos of her grandmother were all lost in the disaster. I think they may feel better when they have someone to talk to.
One volunteer comes to help out as he is still looking for a job.
There are people out there that really need my heart that I need to give to them. And today, my first day here at Tzu Chi, I learned and I experienced just how much there are people out there very suffering and really needing our help.
Through the phone calls, volunteers hear inspirational stories as well.
When I was making a call to one of the victims, he was volunteering to hand out hot meals. This was quite touching because although he also needs help, he's willing to devote himself to helping other victims.
They also learn how helpless some of the victims feel.
One disabled person lives with his father in a rented house, which was flooded in the disaster. All their tools and the trucks were gone. Because they are tenants of the house, they are not qualified to apply for government subsidies.
My name is Gail Roundtree.
As volunteers busy themselves with recording the messages and information they receive from the disaster victims, they hope to help them restore their lives to normal as soon as possible.
City volunteers in Los Angeles recently held a free clinic at the Little Creek Elementary School in San Bernardino County. Serving at the clinics were bilingual local volunteers and teachings from UC Irvine and other colleges.
Before the start of the clinic, over a dozen teens and volunteers are busy getting everything in place.
From Master Cheng north to south.
Volunteers made sure that the donation box for victims of Hurricane Sandy is front and center. In order to help those waiting to be seen understand the condition many still face in the Northeast, volunteers show video footage of the current situation and the ongoing efforts to help.
I want to thank you for everything. I saved this for the contribution. It is an honor to work with all of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
The Bamboo Coin Bank spirit has been embraced by many here today, including those who have received aid in the past, local volunteers, and even children from Little Creek Elementary School.
New Jersey and all of that, and then lots of people lost their homes, donating money or food or supplies to help them.
At this most recent Tzu Chi clinic, not only did local residents get a chance to feel the holiday cheer, but they were given an opportunity to give back in return, thus ensuring those on the East Coast will be able to feel the love and warmth as well.
In Taiwan, Northern District Tima medical staff and volunteers arrived in Penghu and visited the homes of care recipients in Huxi Township, Xiyu Township, and Magong City.
Visiting from Taipei, Tima medical staff and volunteers are conducting home visitations here in Xiyu Township. Upon arriving at the sick senior's house, Tima doctor encourages her to be optimistic.
The Buddha will give us blessings, so we need to live a happy life. We need to have faith and we will be okay. You need to live a happy life now, not when you pass away.
Tima doctors and volunteers work to get an understanding of the senior's medication before helping her organize her meds.
The doctor told her that she has edema. It is because she has high blood pressure and diabetes. Her kidney is not that great either.
With blessings from the Tima medical staff and volunteers, the senior prays with sincerity. At another house, this care recipient who was diagnosed with diabetes suffers from foot lesion. A Tima doctor reminds him to seek treatment as soon as possible, or else his leg might have to be amputated.
If you take a shot, it will help a little. It is not that if you don't take a shot, it will get worse. This is the result of half a year without treatment, but you need to have faith in yourself.
With tears in his eyes, this care recipient thanked the Tima doctor. To encourage the other patients, Tima doctor Huang Zhenchang, who once suffered from a stroke, uses himself as an example.
My wife says I need to work more to recover from my sickness, so I walk a lot.
Thanks to the love and care from everyone, these care recipients are all smiles.
Continuing on our series of reports on the issue of sinking foundations in Taiwan, we find out today what the government is doing to help lessen Taiwan's groundwater dependency and how some farmers are already doing their parts to help by changing the ways they grow crops.
Wearing dress slacks and a white button-up, You Lian-tian does not look like your typical farmer. However, he is actually in charge of a year-round farming plant factory that uses 90% less water when compared to traditional farming methods.
We use a container to hold water, and so only the plants are absorbing the water. This way we save a lot of water.
Not a drop of water is wasted in growing vegetables this way.
In traditional farming methods, we have to wash the plant's roots to clean the dirt off, and that also uses water.
Although this type of plant factory is expensive to start up, by using natural light and stable temperatures, the method is definitely more cost-effective. Taiwan's Council of Agriculture hopes that more farmers in areas where water resources are scarce will adopt this method.
With this plant factory, we hope to attract a younger generation by showing them how agriculture is moving forward with technology.
Taiwan's Council of Agriculture hopes to encourage new farmers by introducing a golden agriculture corridor in areas in Changhua County and Yunlin County, from Beitou to Beigang, where the high-speed rail passes through. In total, the area will cover 13,298 hectares, with 9,141 hectares of that used as agricultural land.
In those areas, there are approximately 2,200 hectares that are not suitable for farming, but we will work to assist those landowners to help revive their land.
Besides reviving farmland, Huwei Township of Yunlin County's flower farmers have already turned to technology to help them solve the water shortage issue.
After we have started using this drip irrigation system, we have saved up to 80% in water usage.
Unlike traditional farming methods, which relies mainly on individual experience to know when to water plants, these pipes with holes will drip water close to the roots of crops, giving the flowers exactly the amount of water they need.
It has a drip hole every 20 centimeters where water comes out on both sides.
Inside the greenhouse, a 24-hour automatic drip system controls the amount of water distributed. With one finger, the farmer has control of 1 hectare of yield production.
We set the system up here. Let's say we want to distribute water every 5 minutes. So we set that here. Then in a few seconds, this section will receive water.
On the backs of these water conservation farming methods, Taiwan's government plans to spend $100 million in creating its Golden Agriculture Corridor to help reduce Taiwan's dependency on groundwater by 3 million tons.
In today's feature report on Taiwan's fading trades, we meet one martial artist, Lin Changxiang, who have taught martial arts in some 40 schools in Taipei and New Taipei City. 12 years ago, the martial arts master, who is also a national coach, even established his own club to pass on the tradition to those interested.
I'm scared of criminals. It's self-defense.
This will leave a claw-shaped scar, so it is a dangerous weapon.
I think martial arts are cool.
In the movie Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, this is the gauntlet hook Michelle Yeoh used in her fights.
Martial arts help me become stronger.
This booklet is a weapon guide for the Qing Dynasty. This printing of the muscle-changing classic was published in 1921. These are the 18 weapons in Chinese martial arts.
铺腿要低一点哈，把那基本功做出来。脚尽量往内扣，才会有支撑力量。右手在上面。
Besides the
the airport runway and metro station, a group of students are learning martial arts from Master Lin Changxiang.
Sometimes I get really tired and don't feel like eating.
Normally, after an hour or two, I get sleepy.
These students may not be top achievers in school, but all are certainly not bad students either. And they are not learning martial arts to become a gangster.
The earliest schools to set up a martial arts club were Jianguo High School and the National Taiwan University in 1953. Martial arts are definitely worth learning.
I think since martial arts originated from the East, we should continue to practice them.
You will have to devote your time to learn martial arts and at the same time also make sure you keep up with schoolwork and improve your social skills.
高一、大二、小五、国三、小五、小四、大二、大二、大三、大二、国高二、大一。这叫做官当不义。好，为什么叫官当不义呢？关公拿大刀，将。
I don't get into fights with others because if we can solve the conflict, we'll try not to get into fights.
你不要贪心呢，练功夫呢叫贪多嚼不烂。谢家佑好像很澎湃的样子，没关系的。
Our teacher shares with us the principles of life and says that we should be tolerant in situations. People who practice martial arts must cultivate themselves too.
With his many certificates and medals, the national coach decided to settle in Danshui, where he took over his master's martial arts club.
This is the motto left behind by my master. Many people quit halfway because they also need to make ends meet.
因为这是现实问题。
蹬步的时候，人家是往哪里倒？是往前面倒。蹬踏呢？蹬踏是扬，蹬踏是往后倒，有没有？
It was a sense of mission and the inspiration from my teacher that motivated me to come this far. It is actually quite a lonely path.
他自来的时候，这叫拨枪，你不要这样去打他，打他很开，那个对头中法棍就上来了，有看到？如果我是枪那么低，啪啪啪，头就上去了。
自力更生。
We have to be independent, but also ensure martial arts don't die out. Of course, it also depends on this generation. If they don't pass it on, it will fade away.
怎么样？就已经卡住。
I will ask many collectors to pass these on to me.
Martial arts means the world to Lin Changxiang, who demonstrates the spirit and culture of the traditional arts. Whether it is at his club or at school, Lin Changxiang vows to continue promote and teach martial arts for as long as he can and ensure the tradition shines on.
We don't know when the seeds we plant will blossom, but as a teacher, I must give it my all.
一定要付全力。
Next, in China, every month, Tzu volunteers in Guangzhou visit 37 needy families living in Zhongluo town. Most care recipients live in poor conditions, and volunteers brought care and love into their lives. At the age of 20, life is usually filled with excitement, but not so for the paralyzed Xiao Tanwen. His parents have time and again wanted to give up. But 6 months ago, Tzu brought hope into their lives by helping with his medical expenses. Now able to count with his fingers and give thanks, Xiao Tanwen is indeed making progress. His parents are no longer sad and worried. Every month, volunteers regularly visit 37 impoverished families in Zhongluo town. One care recipient is Chen Huixi, who did not trust people and deliberately scattered broken glasses in front of his house to keep people out.
His hands are so cold and shaking. So cold. His legs are so stiff. How come they are so stiff?
Chen Huixi lives alone in this mud hut and doesn't even own a quote. Volunteers worried about how he will survive the bitter cold night brought him a blanket during this visit. Touched by repeated acts of kindness, Chen Huixi finally lays down his armor. Chen Jingwen, who lost both legs as a child, does not exude sadness. Instead, her bright smile lights up the room. She's eager to talk about her younger brother's recent marriage and her new boyfriend who she met online.
With your encouragement, I feel very happy.
Chen Zhuzhao is a hunchback and his wife suffers from dwarfism. But this doesn't deter the family. Even while receiving help, the couple insist on working to support themselves. Chen Zhuzhao's wife has a knack for craft work and sells handmade items to support the family. Believing that we need to help ourselves, Chen Zhuzhao's daughter sees her parents as role models and never complains about life. Stepping into poverty-stricken homes and seeing how strong and determined these families are truly inspires us all. As the first overseas volunteer training seminar came to an end, local volunteers from South Africa returned to Tzu Chi's spiritual homeland in Hualien, where they seized every opportunity to give. The volunteers not only served at the Hualien Tzu Chi General Hospital, but also visited inmates at the Hualien prison.
Bowing 90 degrees and giving their sincerest blessings to the families of patients in surgery, these local volunteers from South Africa have returned to their spiritual home and are serving as hospital volunteers. Doing what they do best, these African volunteers are singing and dancing, bringing joy and blessings to the patients. These African volunteers next arrive at Hualien prison to bring encouragement to the inmates there. They share their life stories of how one is still able to give despite hardships, encouraging the inmates not to give up hope.
I hope that these inmates will have a beautiful life ahead of them when they are released. Perhaps they may join the ranks of volunteers or even come to South Africa to see our situation.
Merely sharing on stage is not enough. Through translators, the volunteers continue to chat with the inmates.
Your heart is very beautiful.
Because great love.
And also your heart may be beautiful if you let Master Cheng come in your heart.
Bring support to these who have once walked down the wrong path and encouraging them to dedicate themselves to helping society when they are released.
When I get out from here, I will join Tzu Chi and do recycling because I live in Zhongli and there are many recycling stations there. By joining Tzu Chi, I can contribute to the society.
Although only in Taiwan for a few days, South Africa local volunteers seized every opportunity to dedicate themselves to Tzu Chi's missions to inspire all those around them.
We go to Malaysia at the end of our program today and join the students at the Kuala Lumpur DaAi Educare Center in Malaysia as they come together to fundraise for Hurricane Sandy survivors. The youngsters have been putting away spare coins in their bamboo coin banks and donated them at the monthly parent study group. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.